Hello and welcome to the breakdown segment where we look all the ins and out of Sri Lanka rugby. First up, Sri Lanka Super Sevens. Congratulations to EZY Wolves to becoming the champions in the second leg, and congratulations to Mobitel Eagles who won the overall competition. Shanak, it was a good contest between those two teams in the finals.
Yeah, it was a fantastic final. I thought it was really entertaining right up to the last moment as well, although the EZY Wolves did pull away towards the end. The Mobitel Eagles stayed in it, and towards the end we saw a bit of niggle as well. That's always nice to see, and good to see some players coming into form. Dinusha Chaturanga, Anuruddha Vilavara on either side. So I thought it was a really good final, and I think what tipped the scales was that the Kenyan trio for the EZY Wolves were playing in a better combination, Sabir, whereas I thought Joseva and Mulewara were playing a kind of individual games for the Eagles,
Yeah.
But the EZY Wolves I thought had better combinations.
And also we saw, I think the great tactics came into the finals. Sudat Sampath, coach of EZY Wolves, left Kenyan skipper Andrew Amande on the bench. He came in the last 2 minutes and putting those two other guys in the centre and the wing combination. That worked well. On the other hand, in the other side of the park, Sashan Mohammed and Sudarshan Mutantri combining. So that gave a plus point, including Dinusha Chaturanga.
Yeah, it was, and I thought Sashan Mohammed had a decent game, but I thought Mudutantri was everywhere as well. I think he's coming back into form, he's coming back into full fitness. That's really good to see, and good for Sri Lanka rugby as well. But you saw, Sabi, during the course of the competition, you saw how the value of guys like Amonde, the guys like Oscar Ouma, guys like Setefano Takao, how they can come in the second half and control a game, how they can just move the ball, let the ball do the work. That kind of thing is really important, and that's why I think coaches are now looking at experienced players coming on in the last half of the second half and just controlling the game when you're in the lead.
Indeed, that's all about the experience, isn't it? I'm sure there's a lot to learn for the local players as well as the young players, especially the under 23 players in the likes of Malka Gunaratna, Naveen Henakan Khanamage, Buddhima Piyaratna, all those players. This is how the final points table in the second leg looked like. KBSL Dragons versus Walkers Vipers in the Shield finals. Vipers winning that 28 points to 17, and Access Kings beat Soft Logic 34 points to 19, and Etisalat Panthers 22, Kargis Gladiators 19. That was a close game, and in the finals, Wolves winning 26 points to 12 over the defending champions Mobitel Eagles. But forgetting the finals, Shanaga, 2 days has been really good, but talking about Buddhima Piyaratna, he scored like 8 tries in the first leg, but unfortunately he couldn't score much as expected in the second leg. Why it's happening? I
don't know why. Maybe he put a little bit too much pressure on himself for one thing. I thought he was a little too casual, Sabir, in the second leg. I thought because he's been the top try scorer in the first leg that I thought he may have taken it for granted almost, and it didn't happen for him this time. So it's a good leveler sports, isn't it? You know, you can be top dog on one weekend and you come right down to 0 in the second weekend. So that's important for players to realize that they have to keep working really hard at their game. But I also thought that the KBSL Dragons didn't play well as a team. And as a result of that, I think Piyaratna, the guys who are used to finishing tries, didn't get as many opportunities as they did get in the first, because they'd lost Omalka Gunaratna from that side. And when you take away a guy like Gunaratna who punches holes, then it leaves much more gaps for guys like Piyaratna to run into. But when they didn't have that guy who was punching holes when Omalka moved to his other franchise, that's when I think Buddhima Piyaratna and people suffered, and the Dragons themselves suffered, because if you look at them, they finished dead last in the series. So I think that's an important thing to look at. But I thought the Vipers were also a little bit disappointing for me. Lots of real pace in that side, lots of good foreign players as well. Anushka Ranjan, guys that you expect to be able to really decimate oppositions, but didn't quite happen.
Yes, indeed. This is how the final overall standing looked like on your screens. Mobitel Eagles with 55 points, Wolves 43, Warriors 34, Kings 34. That's a joint championship for the third and fourth place. And Panthers at fifth place 26, Vipers 22, 18 for Gladiators, and Dragons at the bottom of the table, like we mentioned. Talking about the Panthers and Access Kings, they also had some class. Like we saw Tarinder Ratwate in Access, Setefano Kakao and Lavanga Pereira, some good names, Nivankar Prasad, but still they could not manage to come on top into the finals. It was a close game in the semi-finals though.
It was a close game in the semi-finals, and these sevens games can be decided on just one possession, Sabir, and that's the beauty of sevens, but it's also the tragedy of sevens. But for me, the most disappointing, frankly, franchises were the Axis Kings and the Etisalat Panthers and perhaps the Vipers as well. And the kind of talent that they had in those sides, I don't think they played to that full potential. And that's where the combinations come into place. That's where the strategizing comes into place. Who do you play as your sweeper? Do you play a sweeper at all? That kind of thing. And just being able to make sure that you play to the strengths of your team, Sabir. If you've got a lot of really fast players, why are you not using the kick chase a little bit more? Those are things that really concerned me in terms of how the tournament was approached. So I think while the tournament was really good from a player's point of view, I think from a coaching standpoint, when you bring in coaches just to spend 2 weeks with a bunch of players that they may have never coached before, then I think you come into these particular problems, Sabir. And we were talking to Nick Grube on commentary as well, and one thing that he mentioned that we asked him was the amount of contact that the players seemed comfortable with is a little too much for my liking personally, because every possession, say you win a line out and you spin the ball to the second or third receiver, and they're looking to go into contact, they're looking to break the line from that first phase, and that's not how we should be playing sevens rugby rather. We should be spinning it wide, spinning it right the way back, running a few angles in the center of the field before we look for trying to breach that line of defense. Whereas here, I thought all the teams were guilty of trying to break the first line of defense in the first phase. And that's not what's going to get us anywhere in the Asian circuit.
That we saw happening in the under 16 also, because every player trying to become a star, not playing that team game. We saw that often, isn't it? We'll talk about the 16s as well. But here's the highest try scorer, still Buddhima Piratna from KBSL Dragons. He scored 8 tries in the first leg and 1 in the second leg. So he has scored overall 9 tries. And international players, Seviloni Natudore. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, Seviloni Natudore.
Etisalat Panthers 11 tries, 6 in the first leg and 5 in the second leg, and he's a hot stepper as well. But talking about overall foreign players wise, who impressed you most?
Well, I thought Takao was brilliant whenever he did come on. The kind of game management he shows is absolutely outstanding. But Nelson Oyo, I thought, was one of the best players that I saw on the park. Sabir, he's able to breach defenses and he's able to bring other players into the game. So I thought he was, for me, probably my favorite foreign player. Guys like Dani Rule, lots of strength, lots of speed, but ball handling skills not as good as you would expect. And so as a result of that, I thought Oyo and Mulivore from the Eagles was probably the best player.
So let's have a look at the schools, how it ended. Kingswood beat St. Joseph. It was a close tussle, 7-5. What a game.
Yeah, it was an outstanding game, Sabir, and I thought coming into the game, just in terms of maturity and physicality, that St. Joseph's had the edge, and it was proven wrong, because Kingswood just hung in there with 6 players on the park for almost all of that game. They suffered a few yellow cards, and some were unlucky, but they were right by the letter of the law. But I thought they might have been managed a little bit better. But despite that, even in the last 10 seconds or so when they had a man off, they still managed to keep St. Joseph's out of the bounce, not favouring Russia and Gunawardena there. So I thought Kingswood deserved to win that game. The way they played, St. Joseph's were the team to beat, I thought, going into the final. But the kind of rugby that Kingswood had been playing all tournament, I thought they were deserved winners.
Indeed. And let's have a look at how the final scores ended up. Shield champions St. Anthony's College 31 points to 5 over Zaira College, and Isipatana Science College winning the bowl, and St. Peter's College winning the plate. And there you go, St. Joseph's are losing to Kingswood in the finals. But the final, of course, went into a bit of criticism. There's hundreds of fans watching, hundreds of spectators watching, but referee's decision came to a criticism.
Well, I don't think that there was a lot to be critical of, Sabir, in the sense that a lot of people probably don't understand what was going on. There are a few things that happened. One was that the Kingswood player just lost concentration, and when he got a free kick on his 5-meter line, he didn't actually move the ball with his foot.
He might have been able to put some pressure on.
Take it up properly. I say take your tap.
And the law requires that the ball be propelled by the foot through the mark.
That is some basic error where we teach in the under 10s maybe.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the kid just lost a little bit of concentration there, and I think he thought the referee didn't see him, but the referee did see him.
Talking about that, Shanaka, referee did see him. He was spot on. And also there's another incident where Andre Monde in the finals between EZY Wolves. Look at this. And over here, I'm not sure whether he took that tap as well. Referee Carter giving a penalty, but I didn't see the ball moving. He just popped the ball up from his hands.
Yeah, so these are things that players try and get away with, and if referees are eagle-eyed, they spot them, Sabir. But that was a crucial mistake from Kingswood, because they could have cleared their lines and the game would have been over at that point. So they managed to come back from that as well. So they lapsed themselves in concentration a little bit. I think they should have trusted themselves. I think they psyched themselves out a little too much going into that final, because if they played the brand of rugby they'd been playing all tournament, I think they would have won that game much more easily.
Indeed, but we saw that Kingswood celebrating before the final whistle. Maybe referee blew the final whistle and then he restarted.
Yeah, he certainly did blow the final whistle. It was on the near side touchline, and he blew the final whistle and he signaled game over. And then the far side assistant referee, he comes in and says that there was a bit of foul play. Now, I'm not sure there was foul play. We watched it very carefully in the commentary box as well, and I didn't see any foul play, but the referee said there was something. So without a TMO, we're never going to be able to put that to bed to realize whether there was foul play or not. But when the referee comes in and says there was a foul play before the game ended, then the referee can take it back to a penalty and he can continue play, which is exactly what happened. I thought the yellow card was a bit harsh, especially if the referee didn't exactly see what went on, and he was quite close to the action. He didn't feel the need for even a penalty at that stage, and well, I guess the bounce of the rugby ball decided how the game should be won. Yeah.
Indeed, and also talking about the World Rugby law, after the full-time whistle, the game can be restarted.
Well, it can be restarted if there was foul play before the whistle was blown, Sabir. So here, if there was foul play, it was before the whistle was blown. So in that, I don't think there is any debate that the game can be restarted, because even if you score a try, and there's been something that happens after the try is scored, you start with a penalty at the halfway line. If there is a penalty before the try is scored, then you can go back and give that player a yellow card as well. So there are instances where you can go back and retrospectively take decisions, and this is one of them.
This is one of them. For all our learning perspective, it will help certainly. And let's have a look at the Junior Commonwealth. Under 18s will be playing today, 7:14 p.m. Sri Lankan time. They are playing the first match against Canada.
Well, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, Savir. I'll tell you one thing. I mean, this is something you know as well. But when you play against those white boys, you feel the contact. So that's something that they're going to have to get over in the first game. And unfortunately, these players, like the local players, haven't been exposed to foreign opposition as much as we would like. So they haven't toured as much and things like that. They don't play visiting teams. And that's something we need to look forward at Sri Lanka Rugby as well, to try and get as many people touring, even if it's just friendly tours, just coming in and touring Sri Lanka, so that our guys get a taste of that. So it's going to be a baptism of fire. Canada is not a minnow by any stretch of the imagination. They're a regular in the World Cup. They won 7 series before on the circuit. So it's going to be a tough game, and our boys will have a lot of learning to do, and hopefully that learning will come quickly and they'll be able to perform.
Yeah, it's certainly a tough pool. That's what all about the Youth Commonwealth game, but it's a great opportunity indeed. Even Coach Peter Woods said when we were speaking to him that it'll only give the players the experience, much needed experience. And after Canada, Sri Lanka will play Fiji and Samoa in day 1, and New Zealand and Bahamas in day 2.
Yeah, so it's not a happy group that we've got, Sabir. So it's going to be a really tough tour, and these guys are going to get a bit of a badging, I'll tell you that much, because when you compare 18-year-olds from Sri Lanka to 18-year-olds from some of these countries that we're playing, like Canada, Fiji, Samoa, even New Zealand and England, these guys are big lads. So it's going to be a, let's just say, it's going to be a learning experience.
Indeed. Under 18s we see playing for Super 15 as well, so as Premiership Rugby. And let's move on to the...
Geordie Barrett is what, 20 years old?
Yeah.
6'4".
Ione?
Rico Ioane is 21, I think.
21, yeah.
21, also 6'2" or something.
Yeah, and there's another bloke for England under 18s who played for England against the Barbarians game. He's just 18 years old and won the man of the match title. So we hope that he's not playing in this time around for the Sevens team. And we'll move on to the Mercantile Sevens this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Racecourse Grounds, Shanaka. But looks like Mars MAS Holdings, they didn't play last year, but they were the champions in the previous year, which is 2015, and they have a good side and all the players are finding fit.
Well, most of their players were playing well in the Sri Lanka Super Sevens. Guys like Villavara coming back into form. Fazil Marija at his best once again. I thought he was really outstanding in the last couple of games. Unfortunately, the Panthers couldn't pull the Panthers through. He's lost a little bit of pace. But guys like Suri and Gayan Veeraratne, I thought he had an outstanding tournament. He's really playing well once again. So lots of firepower for the MAS team, as it were. And we'll have to see whether teams like Dialogue can come and dethrone them. But it's going to be tough.
Indeed, Dialogue, Access, and also AMW, a new team along with Cambridge Finance. So it will be playing in the Cup segment for this Mercantile Championship. Access won the encounter last year, and it will be an interesting one. We'll be bringing you live coverage on Sunday, day 3 on www.thepapare.com. So also just want to mention there are another 25 teams playing for the Bowl and Shield competition channel.
It's a fantastic competition, isn't it, Sabir? The mercantile sports has really taken off, and I think that's really good for social sports here in Sri Lanka, because once you play for school and if you can't play for a club, there's really nothing else left for you to do. So it's really good that I think that teams at this level, below the Cup Championship level, we're getting more and more teams playing, and I hope there are more tournaments, not just in rugby but in other sports as well, where you encourage corporates to take part. We saw the mercantile swimming meet started off with like a couple of teams back in the day, and now it's just grown beyond recognition. So it's really good that the corporates are having it, because social sports is a huge lack in Sri Lanka.
So that's all we have for the breakdown. We'll be come with more action next week, and I'm signing off along with Shana Kaur Singh.